Hello, everyone. Will Gasper, Hospice of Michigan, Grief Support in Cadillac. Welcome to our recap of March 2nd, Men Overcoming Loss. We recapped the previous meeting from February 16th, and the guys didn't really have much further thoughts about that presentation, about how to carry on purpose of life. How do you carry on from your experiences? But we started canvassing the gentlemen that showed up, and we had a good group. We had 16 guys show up on Tuesday night, March 2nd. So the first guy asked the question, how can I go about not living in the past? How does a person do that? And one of the gentlemen said, well, you are at a fork in the road. You can make a decision to continue on that path or choosing where you want to go toward healing. And that led to more discussion about a person when they have a loss like losing a spouse. Oftentimes the mind or the memories go to the suffering that this one man's wife had endured the last 2 weeks of her life. And one response was, well, that is natural to visit that image. Try to think about the good times. Try to imagine the things that you did as a couple. Write them down as you remember them. And it will get easier as time goes on. Embrace the past that you shared together. Journal each memory from the past and what you were grateful about that journey or that event or that experience with your wife. And reframing your attitude to an attitude of gratitude will remind you of how blessed you were to share however many years that you shared with your wife. And so that can always bring about a positive response in your brain as well. What am I grateful for? What are the things that I was blessed with while my wife was alive? The next gentleman said, I can't even think or see what the future looks like. And the response to that was, well, if you have grandchildren, think of your grandchildren. What would your wife want you to do to help your grandchildren? Remember her, remember how special they are, to build your relationship with them. There's so many opportunities for grandparents, especially if they're are retired, to get with the grandchildren um, in a one-on-one situation, to have the experiences and to tell them about their grandmother or your wife, and talk about how special she was so that their memories aren't just based on pictures. They can have a story that goes with those pictures. Another thing you can do is look at mending fences if you need to with your children, your brothers or sisters, or whoever you need to mend fences with. Make the best of each day. And by that is by that what we were talking about is not to beat yourself up about not having energy, especially early on in your grief journey. We all have to have some time of adjustment, adjusting to the fact that your lifelong partner is no longer there to accomplish the goals or the plans that that both of you had. Sometimes making the best of each day means getting out of bed, getting dressed, and accomplishing one or two things, and not beating yourself up for not having more energy, because that will come. It's just a process and will take time. The next gentleman asked, I have trouble finding things to do. I used to be the caregiver for my wife. Now she's not here. And what do I do with my time? And the question that, or the answer that came out of that was, well, perhaps you could finish things that your wife started, or causes that were important to her. Maybe it was some home improvement or something outside in the garden around your house. And it could be, like one gentleman stated, that what he did is got involved in the local library because his wife enjoyed going to the library and reading to the children back before COVID, of course. And so, was there a way? He asked the question, was there a way he could get involved? And he stated that his wife really supported the expansion of the library. And there was a campaign to raise money. So he joined in that effort. And he was so proud of what he's been able to do with that committee to get the word out that they're raising funds to expand the library and in their small community. So he felt very proud that he was honoring something that his wife would have that, that his wife supported. Find folks that will listen to you and who will talk to you about your spouse's life. Family, friends, family, pastor, someone who has also lost a spouse, perhaps. Having coffee together to share your journey and to share your memories of your spouse. Always a good thing to say, to tell someone else about how important your wife was to you, why she made a difference in your life, why she made a difference in other folks in their lives, and how she made them feel. Another gentleman said, our home is now a very lonely place. What can I do to overcome that feeling? And one of the gentlemen answered, well, being in the house we shared, I see evidence of my wife's existence everywhere I look. She organized, she decorated. I can see evidence that she was living here with me, but she's no longer here physically. But I feel her spiritual presence. I feel that she's looking down on me and supporting me and wanting me to carry on. Next question was that a gentleman brought up, says, how do I respond to people who ask me how I'm doing? And the answer from several men were, be honest. If they're asking that question, of course they're being polite, but you can tell them. Some days are good, some days I cry a lot. And if they would like to continue the conversation from there, go for it. Find a place that you could talk in, kind of a private place, corner of a restaurant, maybe a park, maybe a park bench. And just be honest and tell them what you need. Tell them what you're struggling with. And tell them perhaps how you met, what attracted you to her in the beginning when you first met. Another gentleman said, how do I get my mind off of my pain that I'm currently feeling? And the answer was, one of the strategies was to research, do a Google search, or however you want to do it, the various forms of meditation, and find one that works for you. Some of them are short as 5 minutes, and some of them are a lot longer than that. But through meditation, that's been proven to just find peace in your life. And I think that's what this gentleman that had that pain was talking about, because he didn't know peace. And so by having that meditation experience, this gentleman that answered him had some peace and had been able to deal with some of the pain that he was feeling at that very early age, or very early stage of his grief journey. Another man asked, how do I deal with the guilt of the feelings regarding the things I didn't say? I didn't get a chance to tell her. And a great answer is to write a letter, because obviously you can't apologize in person anymore. So, how about writing a letter and putting down all those things that you wish you could have told her? And writing those down, and perhaps even adding up, asking forgiveness for the things that you did say that you wish you could take back. And then what do you do with the letter? In our experience, writing it down releases some of that pain from all these things that you feel guilty about. And you can do things several different ways. You can take it to the gravesite. Take that letter to the gravesite. Take that letter to a favorite place that you two enjoy together. Could have been on a vacation, could be on your own property, perhaps by a river or a park, next to the beach, under a huge maple tree in the shade, whatever that place was. And just read it out loud and let the tears flow, because tears of sorrow are healing tears. Research has shown that tears of sorrow are tears of healing, because they release some endorphins in your brain that help the soul to heal. And finally, what I'd like you to remember is that this journey is your journey, and each person's journey is unique, and there is no timetable for your healing. Life will never be the same, but as you heal, keep in mind that that is no indication of how much you loved your wife. If you find the joy by doing the work, as Ron Greaves would say, our esteemed volunteer who wrote a book, From Death to Life. He talks about his 5 stages of grief. And the first one is to believe you can heal. The second one is do the work. Third one is be not afraid. Because by being afraid, it kind of kicks you out of that moving forward response that we all need to do, because you can't go through it. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You have to go through it. And then the next one would be to find the joy. And down the road, you can give yourself permission to go for a walk and look for especially as spring is starting to give hints of arriving now that we're in March. Find things that you can be joyful about. Perhaps the crocuses that pop out in your yard or someone else's. Perhaps the return of some songbirds, especially those blue, wonderful bluebirds. There's some beautiful songs. And take time to appreciate the joy that you'll is out there for you to experience. And lastly, say yes to opportunity, to helping others when you feel that you are capable. And I know that some of the men in our group that's been with us at least a year or more, or maybe 8, 10 months, I do believe, they may not realize it, but I do believe that they are saying yes to opportunity to encourage and to support the guys that come on with a grief so heavy on their hearts because their losses are very, very recent. So I believe that in their own way, they are saying yes to opportunity. And just to remind you that March 20th at 6 p.m., Wes and David will be having another session. It'll be educational. And then on April, first Tuesday of April, Matt and I will be having an open forum to talk about things that are going on, issues that have popped up that may be a recent struggle that several of the members have had. But it's all open. It's all open to um, good discussion, good support, good engagement. So for Matt and I, and David and Wes, thank you so very much for participating and joining us in Men Overcoming Loss. Thanks again. Take care.